What is up everyone, welcome back to another video. I've been tinkering away with my team for just over a week now, and today I'm taking you through my latest draft. Welcome back to another video everyone, FPL Harry here, and today it is time to take you through my new draft for Game Week 1 for FPL 2023. There have been some changes from the last time I brought you a draft. Of course, there is still some preseason to go, but I think we are nearing teams at the moment that are quite happy to go into the later stages of preseason with and maybe just change a couple of players. Before we dive in, if you do like the channel, if you do like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications as well, because I answer all your questions in the first half an hour of all of my videos. So notification crew, you get rewarded. But let's dive straight in. So in goal, I have stuck with Jordan Pickford as my #1 goalkeeper. I just think the fixtures are there for Everton. He had a mixed end to last season, but Sean Dyche, we know he's naturally a defensive manager. We know Everton don't naturally score a lot of goals, so being defensively solid is the way they need to go if they're going to stay in the Premier League again this season, because it doesn't look like they're going to make very many signings. So Pickford in there under a sort of Sean Dyche, given that he's had the whole of pre-season. I think the save points will be there. I think the bonus point potential will be there because they don't necessarily score a lot of goals, and their opening run of fixtures is quite nice. I've added in the backup goalkeeper in Areola at 4.0 million. For me, he's the best backup goalkeeper at 4 million. If you want to go and upgrade to a 4.5, then fine, but I always play with a 4.5 and a 4 million goalkeeper at the start of the season. So for me, Areola is the best 4.0. The chance of any of those 4.0s starting the season, I think, is quite small, but I do think Areola has the best chance of doing that. He could take the place of Fabianski at some point. Whether it happens over preseason, whether it happens at some point during the season, we don't exactly know, but we're just predicting that we think he has the best chance of all the 4.0 goalkeepers of getting some minutes this season. Moving into defence, so Trent Alexander-Arnold is in here. 8 million is a lot for me to pay for him, but I do think it is worth it. The attacking threat that he has, the clean sheet potential that Liverpool did show at the end of last season, plus some new signings in their midfield, which is where they were definitely weakest at points during last season, which means I think he'll be really good, and I think he'll continue to play in that sort of inverted fullback role. So sort of right back into that CDM role like we've seen Cancelo do in the past, John Stones, and where he can just pass the ball so well over the top and pick up a lot of assists like he did at the end of last season. Now, they do play Chelsea in Game Week 1, but that's not too bad a fixture, to be honest. And then from Game Week 2, their fixtures do get much better anyway. So happy to have him. Next on, we have Pervis Estupiñán. To be honest, for me, one of the most underpriced players in the game, particularly because of their opening run of fixtures. Brighton have a fantastic start to the season. The fact that he's only at 5 million means I think he is a lock in my team, unless there's injuries or something like that. Unless I go for a Brighton goalkeeper, which is a small possibility, but at the moment I'm pretty certain I'm going to start the season with Estupiñán. Nice run of fixtures, attacking threat. It's a great combination for a cheap price. Then the slight change, Luke Shaw is no longer in this draft, and we have got Matty Cash in here at Aston Villa and Rico Henry of Brentford as my two 4.5 million defenders. I wanted to upgrade a player in my midfield, and to be honest, Luke Shaw's opening fixtures are good. They're not fantastic once you look at maybe the first 6 game weeks, and I started to look at some of the best rotating defenders, and to me, this was the best combination that I could come up with. Now, Game Week 1 is not ideal. They both have tricky fixtures. I'll probably play Henry at home to Spurs. However, from Game Week 2 all the way to Game Week 10, they have a fantastic rotating pair of defenders. They have an easy fixture pretty much every week, the majority of them being at home as well. That just means I'm able to save a little bit of money. Instead of having Luke Shaw at 5.5 million, I just play one of these two every single week. I think it could be a really nice way to save a little bit of money. They both are pretty nailed, especially now Matty Cash doesn't have the threat that he had of Ashley Young last season. The attacking threat is there from both of them playing at fullback as well. So very happy with these two. And I've gone with Bale now as my 4 million defender. Again, because I've got 2.4.5s, the chances of getting into my starting 11 are very slim, but he's in there. The only issue is he might not be back from Game Week 1. He has an international tournament, which might mean that he's not necessarily available to play in Game Week 1, which is okay. Don't necessarily plan on starting him, but it's just how long it does leave him out at the start of the season. There are a couple of other 4.0s, but at the moment I've gone with Bell. Now, moving into midfield, I can't remember exactly who was in my draft last time, but I'm really happy with how my draft is starting to line up. There's one decision, one spot I am toying with a little bit exactly what I'm going to do, but generally I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. So you have Bukayo Saka in there. For me, he's the best Arsenal midfielder. Odegaard at the same price seems strange. Martinelli at 8.0 is also an okay pick, but Saka's probably the most nailed. He's on penalties as well, so I do like him as a pick. Definitely in their opening run of fixtures is fantastic, which is why a lot of people are looking to double or even triple up on Arsenal or Arsenal attack going into game week 1. And if you're doing that, I don't think that's a bad decision at all. I've had that in some of my drafts, and I'm sure I will have a draft between now and the start of the season that does have triple Arsenal and even triple Arsenal attack. Now, the place that could be and the change that I could make to this midfield is Bruno Fernandes. Now, Mbeumo I really like. I think him playing sort of on the wing, centrally, even without Tony. He might be on penalties as well. Their opening run of fixtures is great. Really, really a big fan of Mbeumo. People are saying he's like Neto of last season. I think he's proven enough times that Mbeumo is a better player than Neto. We've gone with Mitoma. Now, I could go with Luke Shaw in for Matty Cash and then downgrade Mitoma to Enciso. I just need to see in pre-season how many minutes I think Enciso is likely to get. He looks like a great option, but with Solly March, of course, back from his injury, João Pedro being a new big money signing for Brighton as well, I'm not 100% sure on the game time that Enciso is going to get, which is why he came out of my draft and I had to find another way to free up a little bit of money in order to afford this. But Mbeumo and Mitoma I really like. But going back to Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford I really like. I think he's the best Manchester United option. I think he's a better pick than Bruno Fernandes for 0.5 million more. Fernandes could change to one of the Arsenal mids. He could go and he could become Martinelli. He could even become Martin Odegaard as well. I was a bit bullish about not going Odegaard. He is quite consistent in terms of his returns though, so it could end up being him. Fernandes is in there for the moment. Just the first 3 fixtures are really nice, but I could go for a couple of other options. Again, it is those Arsenal mids, it is those Manchester City mids as well. If we see that Phil Foden is finally getting a chance to get a consistent run of starts in that Manchester City team, then it could even be Phil Foden in at a slightly cheaper price, save a bit of money as well. So for me, that midfield spot in for Bruno Fernandes is currently the one up for debate. Let me know in the comments who you would go with. Then moving up front, I don't think there's much surprise here. Archer is my 4.5 million forward choice at the moment. I don't expect any of them to really get a consistent run of minutes at the moment. Things might change over pre-season, but I'm not going to dwell on that one too much. And then it is Haaland. Again, there's no doubt that I'm going with Haaland in this draft. And then it is Gabriel Jesus as well. For me, Gabriel Jesus feels like one of the most underpriced players in this game. The fact that he's cheaper than both Odegaard and Saka and the same price as Martinelli, plus he doesn't take up a midfield spot and there are so many good midfielders, means I'm surprised Jesus' ownership is as low as it is. It's still up at about 30%, but I'm surprised it's not pushing over 50%. I think he's such a good asset. My favourite second forward outside of Haaland this season. So that is my team. Of course, there's no Mo Salah and there's no Harry Kane in this draft. And those are the 2 big omissions. I literally have no way, I don't think, of getting one of these in my team. If I was to try and squeeze potentially Mo Salah into my midfield, I'd pick him over Harry Kane. I'd have to downgrade Trent to probably a 5.5 million defender. I'd then still be a couple of million short. So I'd probably then have to sell Saka down, potentially Jesus I probably couldn't have. Mitoma would have to go to Enciso. I don't think the upgrade that Mo Salah adds on Bruno Fernandes, on Odegaard or on Martinelli in that midfield spot is enough for how much I'd have to sacrifice elsewhere in my team at the moment. So that is my current game week 1 draft. I'm going to leave it alone, I think, for a little while, not make too many changes until we see a little bit more of preseason, which has, of course, now kicked off. If you are tinkering with your teams, make sure you join the league code above me. It is for subscribers only, and we are closing in on 60,000 subscribers, and today is my birthday. So if we could hit 60,000 subscribers on my birthday, if you want to give me a little birthday present, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new around here. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll be back again very soon.